Okay, welcome to Prenatal. We'll press play for the May 2021 playlist in 3, 2, 1. Starting with age of consent. So hopefully you have your blocks all set up and a bolster. Go ahead and find a seat if you're not already there. You can sit cross-legged or on top of your shins, totally up to you. But I want you to work on rooting down through your bottom half. So go ahead and shut down your eyes if that feels safe for you. And let your hands land wherever feels comfortable. Have to change your breath yet, but start to pull in some awareness and notice everything that you feel. Just from the belly button down. Imagine your tailbone reaching through your block, through to the floor, down into the earth's core. Same thing with your sits bones. Making you feel anchored and grounded in this present moment. Let that same heaviness down into your thighs and your shins. Then finding some awareness for your upper half. So from your low rib cage up into your throat, across your shoulders and down into your fingers. Back up the backs of your arms. Can you take that awareness all the way up to the back of your head, top of your head, and down into your frontal lobe at the front part of your face, on your forehead, and then down your face, across the bridge of your nose, your chin. Keep following that center line until you get all the way back down to your belly button. Just below it, this space of creation where you're growing something. Right center right here. How does this all feel right now as you breathe deeply into your belly and all the way up into your heart and your chest? And just let your breath go. How does it feel to do that again? Breathe in all the way, but potentially down to your pelvic floor. And then a soft breath out. Let your jaw relax there. One more together. Breathe in. Exhale and let it go. I want you to pay attention to how your body feels during movement and stillness, everything in between and the transitions. I want you to honor all of that, whatever your body is really asking for, whatever potentially the baby is asking for. See what happens if you just follow your intuition with the movement. Don't worry about what any of it looks like. Just focus on all the feelings as they wash over you and then escape and go away. Gently drop your chin down to your chest. And then walk one ear over to one shoulder. So you feel the openness on your neck, and then rock slowly back to the center and over to the other side. Let your head roll from right to left as you watch your breath. Start to find this depth with your breath on both inhale and exhale. Let yourself even out one more time each side. Bring your head back to the center. Go ahead and lift it all the way up. Take your hands down to the floor on the side. And if you want to switch your shins out, you can straight out your ankles if you're sitting cross-legged. Take a breath in and sweep your arms all the way up to the sky. Let your hands touch. As you breathe out, separate your hands and like you're pushing away the walls on the sides of you. Keep your fingertips up so you get this stretch in your wrists. Notice if you just roll your shoulders down your back, keep a long spine and really strong, engaged triceps. Notice if you feel anything in your hands or your fingertips. Then try rotating your shoulders back so your fingertips reach back with straight arms. And then forward, finding that little turning in of the shoulder head. And just rotate with your fingers going back and forth, like you're waving a really slow high. If it feels good to release the wrists, you can circle out your wrists and notice the heat that's starting to generate in your arms. And then circle out your wrists the opposite direction. And take a deep breath in again, arms up overhead. Interlace your fingers together. As you breathe out, let your hands catch your head. And just push your head back into your hands so your arms can kind of turn off a little bit for just a moment. Notice if it feels good to stick your tailbone out, arch up through your upper back. Let your shoulder blades again roll down so they can catch your heart. You can peel your elbows open, get a little traction with your hands so your neck still feels long. Take a deep breath in. When you breathe out, really pull your baby in towards your spine. Good, and then breathe in, take your arms all the way up overhead. Exhale and separate your hands. You can crawl forward onto all fours. Have both blocks handy at the top of your mat. Move the bolster over here. Hands down underneath your shoulders. Find a rounding in your spine now. Tuck your tailbone down, chin in towards your chest. And I want you just to gaze at your belly. Notice when you breathe in, does your belly drop down freely? And when you breathe out, even in this rounded position, can you generate a little hug of your deepest core muscles? Try it again. Inhale. And exhale. Breathing in, let your belly relax. Breathe out, really hug your belly up. Next breath in, take a small arch in your spine if that feels good. Pull your shoulder blades down your back, chin off your chest. Then breathe out, round into your spine, walk your knees out wide, toes together. Push yourself into a child's pose. And if child's pose feels like it's, belly in the way, you can take it into puppy pose and just walk your knees underneath your hips. Let your forehead land wherever feels good, whether it's on your mat or a block. You can even bend your elbows and let your forehead crash down on top of your forearms. And just take a moment to let your hips sink back. And just energetically imagine your sits bones, whether or not they actually touch, imagine them wanting to anchor into your heels. And let the tops of your ankles stretch out. And while you're here, let your spine sway from side to side. Like your belly is a hammock for your baby. Let it enjoy this little ride. Let your spine move freely. Looking just for those small, tiny corners, even in your hips, your inner thighs. Maybe you take your hips even more into a swing. So it's kind of a small movement. You might not even be able to tell that I'm moving, but it can be small for you too. Where you squeeze one glute and then the other. Try to pull this again, and then see if you can, again, connect to that energy of your sits bones to your heels. Let your heart relax a little further down towards the ground. Notice what position your hands are in. Are your fingers gripping? Is it difficult to let go? Can you just relax the grip, the hold that you have? Back to your breath, the present moment. This time intimate for yourself. Take one more breath. Reach your fingertips long. Take a breath in. Come all the way up to that tabletop shape. Walk your knees in. So they're underneath your hips or even a little bit closer if that feels more stable for you. Extend your right toes back. And then find a little lift of your heel. So notice if your hips want to splay open over to the side. We'll get there, don't worry. Okay. Take a little lift of your leg. I want you just to make some small circles to wake up the hips, the glute, some of the stability that we definitely need. And then draw circles with your heel the opposite direction. Nice job. You take a breath in and really hike up your heel. Exhale and draw your knee towards your elbow. Give it a little touch. One more time. Inhale, kick it back. Exhale, pull it in. Inhale and kick it back behind you. Let your toes touch down on the floor and kickstand your left heel off to the side off your mat. Really anchor down into your left hand. Spin your right heel down so that you can step on your instep. Breathe in and take your right arm up to the sky. So you're in a modified side plank. If you can get your shoulder over your wrist. If you need to walk your bottom knee in to support you some more, that's okay. See if you can press your hips forward and feel this stretch through the front of your pelvis. Then if you want some more stability challenge, you can lift up your right leg. You can even extend that right arm over your ear. And just take 3 mindful breaths, really imagining this length and this reach going from both ends of the room. Relax your shoulders, keep your neck long. It feels better to look down, you can do that. Last breath. And exhale and let your right foot come down. Nice job. Bring your right arm down and just walk your hands to the long edge of your mat so that you're kind of in this inner thigh kind of stretch. Okay, start to rock forward and back, feeling out your inner thigh. You should feel that pull right through your groin, not too much around the knee. That happens and make this a little bit smaller. Pause right there. And see if you can just focus on that breath. Maybe you can feel out your pelvic floor and your belly contraction again at the same time. Keep breathing in to relax your pelvic floor, relax your belly. When you exhale, just notice how everything naturally gathers. You don't really have to do that much or activate super crazy hard. It's more of just a stable energy. Now keep your hands here or even walk them out somewhat in front of your shoulders. Tuck your left toes under, lift your left knee, and push yourself into this wonky downward dog. And again, you can take some movement here and notice if you feel anything in your calves, your inner thighs, your shoulders. If this doesn't feel comfortable for you for good reasons, please put that knee back down. You don't have to be here. We won't be here too much longer. One more breath. And then slowly shift back forward. Lower your left knee down first, followed by your right. And just spin yourself so that you're facing the top of your mat again. If you need to rest your wrists and circle them out, totally okay. We'll set up for the second side. You bring your knees together underneath your hips. Extend your left foot behind you. Find a lift of that leg. See if you can keep your spine strong and neutral for now. Just make tiny circles. You don't have to be super huge. I'm thinking like large grapefruit size. Okay, and then reverse that, circling the other direction. Nice job. Take a breath in and lift your heel. Think about lifting from your inner thigh. Exhale and pull your knee to your elbow. Stay wide. Inhale and kick it back. Exhale and pull the knee in. Inhale and kick it back behind you. And touch your toes down to the floor. Kickstand your right toes off your mat. Keep grounded on your right hand. Inhale and reach your left arm up to the sky as you ground your left heel. Setting yourself up for this modified side plank. Again, stack your shoulders. Stacking your bones helps find a more efficient engagement of your muscles. So go ahead and push your hips forward. And then if you want to play with balancing, lift up your top leg, or even find that full lengthening with your arm by your ear. Imagine someone's giving you a small pull on your ankle and your fingers. Take it for one more breath. And exhale and lower your instep down. Let your hand come down in front of you again to the long end of your mat. We'll just do what we did on the other side. So with your foot grounded, you're centered over this knee a little bit. Just push forward and back. You can feel the inner thigh. Just moving with your breath. And then stay right there, channeling your breath. Again, connecting to your pelvic floor on your left side. Maybe you can feel the difference right to left. It's a little difficult. Easier to focus front to back. See if you can connect back to your deepest core muscle, your transverse abdominis. Notice if you're feeling, again, that heat in your shoulders as you're just holding your own weight. Last one, really push the earth away. And when you exhale, tuck your right toes under, lift your knee as you push yourself back into this weird downward dog. It's just an asymmetrical dog. You can wag your tail around, press your shoulders left and right, or just straight back towards your right ankle. Give it one more breath. And shift yourself forward, lower your right knee down, followed by your left. Spin yourself again so that you're just facing the top of your mat. Okay, tuck your toes under, lift your knees, start to walk your feet towards your hands, and then you can grab onto your blocks. Set them up at medium or highest height. Take a breath in and engage your upper back muscles so your spine comes to parallel with the floor. When you breathe out, take a forward fold. Your feet can be actually as wide as you'd like. Just relax your head, sway from right to left. Notice how this feels in your upper half. And then from the waist down in your lower half. Bend into your knees. Slowly start to rise. You can roll up with a unwinding spine, or you can come up with a strong spine, up to you. And then just roll your shoulders up towards your ears as you breathe in. When you breathe out, relax them down your back. Open up your palms to the front. And check in if it feels good to close your eyes, to stay inward with your experience, with whatever it is that you're feeling. Shift your weight from right to left. Then notice the support that comes up from the ground. And see if you can pendulate yourself kind of big at first and slowly see where you settle right in the center, where you feel most aligned, where you feel efficiently stacked, fully capable, fully aware. Take a breath in, take your arms all the way up overhead. Exhale, fold yourself in half, grab onto your blocks, take a breath in, halfway lift. Keep your right foot ahead, left foot back, lower your left knee down. So you can keep using the blocks for your hands. Let's stay with the foot on the inside of your hands. Shift your pelvis forward until you feel this nice big stretch on your left hip flexors. So just like that. So notice if your hips are back, can you surrender to some gravity and see how you feel there? If your belly is in the way, you can go a little wider with the foot and walk that right hand on the inside. But let's try to keep it close to center. Take a breath or two. And then take your time. Coming up, shoulders over hips. You can push into that thigh and even pull the heel back a touch. Notice first if your spine is already liking to be in this big extension. Can you lower your tailbone down to start and then guide your pelvis forward instead of leading just with your belly? Lead with your pubic bone. See if you can just hold this balance right here. Hands can stay at your hips, or you can take your arms all the way up overhead. Here's a little extra flavoring. You can interlace your hands, take them behind your head again, and open your elbows wide. Imagine you can take your eyes to that place in the ceiling where it meets the wall. Take one more breath, finding some heat here. Good, and when you breathe out, you can just reach for your blocks. Shift yourself back and straighten out your right leg. Take a big breath in. Big breath out to let your spine go. And just notice if it feels better for you to keep your knees soft, or if you want to play with pointing your toes down or pulling them up. You can lower yourself down onto your hands or even little fists. Stay with the blocks. Remember, these poses don't have to be stagnant or still by any means. Your breath can be dynamic. Your body can still remain dynamic in movement. Take one more breath. Okay. Breathe in to lift your spine. Breathe out, bend into your right knee again. Come on up to that lunge, kneeling lunge again. You can keep your right hand at your hip, or you can grab for your block for more support and stability. Inhale, reach your left hand to the sky. Exhale, take a side bend to your right. Relax your shoulders. Notice if you feel a connection sensation that travels all the way from your knee into your hip, across your belly, and even under your arm. You can catch your head again if you want. Take one more. And inhale and stack yourself back up again. Reach yourself forward. And you're just going to heel toe your right foot all the way across to the left. And then be really gentle as you come down. Lower your knee forward, your ankle a little bit in, so your legs are in this figure 7. And you can stay right here in this pigeon pose. It feels like, oh my God, there's no space for me to fold down. That is okay. You can stay upright here. You'll still feel the stretch in your glute. The more you anchor down into your hips, you could also just walk yourself over your shins so your thighs not in the way. Or if you feel like you've got the space, you can lower down on your elbows or all the way down on your forehead or with blocks. You're also free to play with your back leg. What happens if you hug your hamstring up so your heel lifts up and then it lowers down? Nice little kick and then lower. Try hanging out here for at least 4 or 5 more breaths. Use your breath in to climb yourself up. Just push yourself over so that you can take a seat on both of your sits bones, keeping your legs fairly the same. Your left leg will still stay long, but your right foot will come in to touch your inner left thigh. You take another breath in, reach up through your arms. Feel this length in your waistline on both sides. If this right thigh keeps wanting to lift up, see if you can root down just like you did in the beginning of class. Then breathe out, take a side bend over to your left. Your left arm can come down to your thigh, your leg, or even a block if that feels more supportive for you. And take a big inhale here. When you exhale, just dip your right shoulder down like you can reach for your toes. And inhale, open yourself back up and do a side bend. Exhale, take it more into a twist. One more time. Inhale, stack that top shoulder. And exhale, revolve back down. And inhale, come all the way up. Exhale and plant your right hand down. Inhale, try pushing through your hips. So basically coming back to that same shape with the modified side plank, but more of a wild thing modification. Hips forward. Exhale and come all the way back down. Go ahead and make your way onto all fours one more time. Top of your mat. That's just easier. All right, curl the toes under, walk yourself back up to standing, or just do a forward fold. Take a halfway lift. Feel your upper back energize. When you breathe out, set yourself up for a second side. Left foot stays forward, right foot steps back. Lower your right knee down. Just play first with having your hands frame your foot. Settle into your hips. Remember, making this more of a surrendering to gravity. Checking in with the breath. Keep your heart pulled forward as best as you can. Notice if your hips sink in further. One more. And push yourself up onto your left thigh so that your shoulders can stack over your hips. You can pull the heel in a touch. Okay, with your hips squared off, can you anchor your tailbone down this time so your low back feels really long here? Instead of leading again with like your belly button or your waistband, you're leading more with your pubic bone. So imagine your pubic bone getting ahead of your belly. And then you can stay right here with hands on your hips, or you can reach all the way up to the sky. Or find that interlacing the opposite way. Cradle your head. And take your gaze skyward as you tell your left big toe, your left pinky toe, inner and outer heel to stay rooted down. Pull your elbows wide again. Let your shoulder blades catch you. Feel your left glute fire up. And then take a breath in. Reach high for the sky. Exhale, come forward for your blocks. Push your hips back. Woo. With a straight left leg, pull your toes up towards your face. Keep your chest up for a second. When you breathe out, melt your spine down and include your head in that. Let the entire posterior chain get some space, some attention. Keep your toes up or play with pointing them down. And keep alternating, again, making these kinds of positions more dynamic for you. Moving with it for a couple more. Breathe in, lift up your spine. Stack your blocks up to that highest height. Let's bend into your left knee. And again, pull your shoulders over your hips so you feel aligned, okay? Your left hand can stay at your hip or it can reach for the block on your side. Inhale and reach your right arm up overhead. Exhale, take a side bend to your left. Try pushing your hips forward so you really get that full stretch through kind of this like side diagonal front line of your body. Stay for one more. Every time I breathe in, I can feel my stretch. And then use your breath in to come back up. When you breathe out, you can come forward with the blocks first to start. Heel toe your left foot over to the right side of your space. So if you want to pull it a little closer to your right knee before you lower down, that's okay. Obviously, use your hands to help you. And then you can find a little more space. Scooch that back knee further behind you. Let your hips settle in. And check in with how do you feel here? Staying upright, noticing if there's room for you. You can stay there or lower down onto your forearms or your blocks. And just like we did on the first side, maybe you play with your hamstring, quad, and pulling your heel up and then lowering it back down. Most likely it will feel different side to side. This side feels intense for me. Notice if your hips start to lift every time your heel comes up. See if you can release in your left hip so that you stay rooted down. Stay for 2 more. Take a breath in, walk yourself up. Then push yourself over onto your left hip. Let your right thigh spiral up towards the sky. Pull your left foot into your inner thigh. I want you to feel for yourself, like for me right now, I'm a little more on my left sit bone. See if you can anchor down into the right sit bone so that you feel even. Okay, then notice if this left thigh wants to float up, can you just relax it down? Take a breath in, reach high. Get this length, not from this adjustment in your pelvis, but more so in your spine, your waist, your upper back. Breathe out, take a side bend to your right. Let your bottom arm support you. Let your top arm support you if that feels good. Take a breath in. When you breathe out, lower your left shoulder down so you get a small twist in your upper back. Then inhale, open back up. Exhale, take it down. One more time. Inhale, hard up. Exhale, down. Use your full breath in. Reach both hands high. Exhale and plant your left hand down. Reach with your hips. Let your pelvic bone lead the way. Reach back, that feels good. And then lower yourself all the way down onto your glutes. Go ahead and pull both knees in. You're going to take them wide and stamp your feet together. You can hold onto your feet. You can hold onto your ankles. You rock your weight from side to side, maybe even, and find those two sits bones underneath you. Okay. Then notice if your thighs again are wanting to like float up because you're just trying to hold yourself together. Let your thighs relax. Take a breath in. Breathe out. You can use your elbows, your biceps to help pull you in a little closer. But checking in with your spine. Notice if you're starting from this space where your upper back is already rounded and you're coming in here. Can you see if you can pull yourself up as high as you can? And then get this hinge going from your hips. Making a little more room around your inner thighs, your pelvic floor, your low belly. Maybe you even have the long arms to push with your elbows down into your thighs. There's another fix for that too. If you do have short arms like I do, take your blocks on the tops of your thighs, shin. When you have that grip, you can just push down with your elbows, pulling your shoulder blades down. You just won't have to work as hard or reach as far. Stay with it. Take 3 more breaths here. Hinging further with every breath out. Use your breath in, ride yourself back up. Take those blocks out. Let's lift the knees up and then stamp the feet out wide. Go side to side with your knees. And I'm going to show you this facing front, but orient yourself on your mat any way that feels good. Okay, you're going to straighten out your right leg and scooch over onto your right sit bone. Try to grab for your left ankle and plug it back in right by your left glute. And then you don't have to obviously anchor down into this left sit bone anymore, but feeling out if you can lift your pubic bone up towards the sky and then reset your hips down. You can stay right here if you already feel a quad stretch. If you feel comfortable with it and can manage lowering down, maybe you can use your blocks so you can come down onto your elbows and still maintain a good stretch in your left quad without compressing too much on your low back. Take 3 breaths here. One more. And you can push down through your elbows, walk yourself back up. Lean over to the right, untuck your left ankle, give your thigh a little massage or a squeeze. That felt intense. Let's go over to the other side. So just hug your right ankle back. Maybe this is as far as you go. You're like, oh my gosh, I already feel it. Stay right there, that's okay. Otherwise, just anchor down as best as you can through the right hip. Lift your pubic bone up towards the sky and then reset your hips down. So you're aiming for taking the top of your hip up and back away from your knee. So you get this big lengthening through the front. Then you can lower down. If you need more. Breathe into the top of your hip. Take 2 more breaths. Walk yourself back up. Shake out that leg. Take it out long. Give your thighs a little love. Your knees too. And then take your 2 blocks and set yourself up so that you can lie on an incline with your bolster, or you can lie on your side, or you can lie on your back if you're still comfortable doing that. And walk your glutes up towards the back of your bolster. Slowly lean yourself back. You can go legs straight or legs bent. Hands at your belly. Interlace your hands just for a brief moment. And take 5 conscious breaths, breathing with your baby. Finding appreciation for this creative life force that you have within you. And then you can relax your arms down or leave them at your belly if that feels good. You can do what you like with your legs. Keep them bent, straighten them out, come back to that butterfly shape. Or even come up to a seat. I'll call you out in just a few moments, but let yourself rest here, not having to do anything, finding a small sliver of peace. Let your mind stay here in the room you're in, on your mat. deepen your breath. And start practicing your body awareness, the intuition you have within you. Start with your hands or your feet or even just your head going from side to side. Make any moves that help you come back to your body. You can roll over onto your side or push yourself up to a seat. Just meet me in the seat with a long spine. We'll end this practice with a breath together, taking your hands into your heart to start. Empty out all the air that you carry right now. Take a fresh breath in, receive. Exhale and give it all back. Thank you so much for showing up. From my heart to yours, namaste.